Thank you everyone for joining. It's early in the morning, so but not as many people as yesterday, but I hope they will come. And anyway, so today we're going to see this is the difficult part, how to do everything in After Effects, because everything here is done in After Effects, even though the model and so on have been done in Cinema 4D yesterday. And the idea here is there is no render with Cinema 4D, and everything is live with After Effects. So I'll show first, I think, the project to see the different steps. Then I will redo a few things. I don't think I have the time to do everything. We'll see. Um, because there is a lot of back and forth between Cinema 4D and After Effects again. A lot of settings and so on. So, and as always, because it's creative process, I don't think I will have exactly the same thing, but we'll see. So anyway, this is After Effects, and everything is built with Region tool, Trapcode. So there is looks, there is holometrics, there is optical glow, there is some interface element from HUD components, and there is particular, there is form, and there is mirror. So everything regent, that was the intention. And the bot running, the hologram, comes from Cinema 4D, and the pedestal here also comes from Cinema 4D. So let's take a look at the final result, which is this one. Actually, let's show the number 2. Yes. So all the effects are being is done with After Effects. We can see the dust here, it's particular. We have form creating that kind of motion inside. The bot is a mix of Cineware and mirror. And the pedestal here is entirely lit and made with mirror. So what's interesting with this, it's very easy to make change because it's all render live. And actually it's a bit heavy, but it works pretty well. I was surprised to see that my laptop, which is a good laptop, but it's still a laptop, is capable of running it pretty quickly. So let's take a look at the project now. So I'm going to turn off a few things. Yeah, so this is looks with holometrics to add more element, but after, I think maybe this is a bit too much. And we can see more clearly the entire stuff here. Let's hide the interface, Shift, Control, Alt, and we have so many elements here. So those are the elements from the HUD components. So it's very easy to add stuff like that. They are just 3D planes floating in the air. And then we have particle dust. So this is the dust in the background. Very important to add depth to the scene and so on. What's interesting here is the dust is only animated with the fluid motion introduced with particular, I think 2 years ago, 1 year ago, I don't remember. And so it's very easy. That part is going to take like 10 seconds, I guess. And then we have a lot of other things. We have particular for our character. So it's very dim here, but you can see that kind of points flashing. So this is particular to add. And can we see it on the screen? Yeah, we can. So it's just a layer of several effects like that that can be very easily tweaked to have different effects. Then we have here the character with form. So it's different. And here, this is a trick. Using a fractal field to give the impression of interference, but 3D interference of the character. So instead of having just a 2D effect, this is a real 3D effect. This is pretty easy to do also. And then we have this part, which is just the dust we can see through the light. So this one is pretty easy to, because I'm using the shading to create some kind of mask, automatic mask for this. And then we have mirror. So I'm using Electrify. Yeah, I use Electrify too to create some motion on it. And you can see it's very dim. Maybe I'll do it a bit differently. I don't know. And then this is the main character with mirror. And I'm using animated texture to create this effect. So that's very important. That's what makes it a hologram, I guess, that kind of motion. Then we have the Shimmer from Lux. So again, another Trapcode product. And it's going to create volume light that you can very easily fake, because real volume light in 3D, it's heavy. And this is very fast. It's a very old product, Lux. I mean, it's been around for ages. And this is the Lux for the rest of the light. So there's 2 layers of light, and just gave the mood of the lighting with the usual red and blue light. I almost always do that because it creates some kind of purple in the center. So this is nice. And those are the light to control everything. So this is the one to create shine, and those light are real light, which are lighting our pedestal here, which is rendered with mirror. So that's interesting. And I'm already looking forward to the improvement of mirror to have real bump map and so on, because here there's no bump map. So it looks fine just because of the lighting. And because the attention is focused on the character as usual. So when you're looking at that, you're already looking at the character, and don't really care that it looks like a game asset. Anyway, it's not photorealistic, so. And that's it. So there's, like I said, a lot going on. And yeah, something very important I didn't show. And I wanted to have some kind of ghost effect. And this one, I couldn't do it with mirror. It's not possible. So I use Cineware, but it's perfectly synced with mirror. So we have 3D from Cinema 4D, synced with 3D from mirror, and it's very easy to do. I made an earlier attempt of that tutorial 2 years ago. It was extremely difficult to have everything in sync, and now it's just a few clicks, and it just works, so it's really interesting. All right, so let's recreate some of those elements. And I'm going to keep the my main composition here, but I'm going to create another one. So I can go back here sometimes to show stuff. So let's create a composition. So it's a low def composition, because this is a presentation. I don't want everything to be too slow. So let's call it IBC. And 900 frames, that's way too much. Let's make it 175 frames. Okay. And then we're going to start with our character, because that's what I was doing yesterday. I'm going to import the character and then the pedestal. So let's go with solid, and let's call it mirror bot. Okay, so we don't care about the color or the solid, because mirror is going to replace everything. And then we have mirror here, so let's put it there. And mirror, by default, is going to create you a 3D model. And that's very interesting, because you can have nice render with that already. And if I use our RG universe dashboard, yeah, it's here. I put it there. And we go to generator, I guess. Well, no, I think mirror, I will find it. Going the preset. Oh yes, no, the preset are here. Actually, it's the old one preset, and you have very interesting here already. Like for example, if I just click here, well, maybe not this one. Yeah, so this tunnel is it doesn't look very interesting, because you need to add light. Maybe what could I add? I'm just, yeah. So this is interesting because this is a fractal field. This is a 3D object just rendered only with the points and so on. So you have a lot of presets that you can explore with preloaded geometry. But I won't be using that. Let's go back to Mirror here. And I'm going to switch here to Model. That's the mistake I made yesterday where it crashed. I had to choose Model first, and then you go choose Model. And you have already all those interesting models which are preloaded with Mirror. And you can add your own here. So this is my IBC bot start. I have already prepared, so I'm going to load it. And we have our character. As you can see, it's very fast to load, and it works because we have all the point level animation I made yesterday. Again, that's very important because otherwise it wouldn't work. You really have to bake everything to point level animation. So the actual file is this one. And if we go back, you see this is the bot. And we have the keyframe on the point level animation. There is nothing else. So at that point, it's very difficult to change anything. So this is the copy only for me. And this is why it works. And it's going to work also with the other project. And you can see it's very fast. That's very nice, I mean. Then it's 3D, so I can use a camera. And then I can orbit around. It's real 3D. Okay, so the problem is I want to, about the camera, because I want to use the actual model from Cinema 4D to use Cineware. So let's see here. We have already imported it. Actually, Mir did it. When you import a model, it automatically loads the recording C4D file. So here it is. And if I check it, we can see our character. But they are synced, but the camera isn't. So it's very easy to have a perfect match. I'm going to Cinema 4D, and I have already created a camera. Okay, so I'm looking the scene through the camera, and this will be important because I'm going to do all the camera animation with Cinema 4D. So I have my camera here, which is called camera, and if I go to here, in the option of Cineware, I can extract the camera. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to be, so yeah, this is the camera. Well, just want to make sure this is the right one. So extract the camera. All right, so this is the camera from Cinema 4D. The camera on top is the active camera. Okay, but then I have my mirror character has disappeared. All right, so don't panic, it's very easy to fix. I just need to go to mirror, and you have on your 3D model settings an option, normalizer. You don't want to normalize. Normalize is going to create some kind of default scale for your model, but it's very interesting if you use mirror by itself, but it prevents it from syncing with Cineware. So if I just uncheck here, we have our character, and now it's a perfect match. In time also, so I can superpose, I can overlay them and do whatever I want with it. So why do I want to do that? Because I'm going to shade now the character, and like I told you, Mir is pretty nice to shade effect, but you don't have as many options as a real 3D render. So in Cineware, in Cinema 4D, I just created a shader, which is very simple. So let's take a look at the shader. I'm going to create a new shader, and I'm using the default render. So that's something very important to note. Cineware doesn't work with Redshift. And that's not really a problem because you really should use Cineware only to extract camera or to do very simple render. And actually, the usual render, Cinema 4D renderer, is still pretty good, and it's very fast. If you don't want to do photorealistic stuff, it's very, very fast. It's faster than Redshift. What I'm going to do is the render is almost instantaneous. With Redshift, it's very fast to do GI, but to do some fake 3D, it's rather slow because it's aimed to do photorealistic stuff. So it's still very interesting to use the usual render of Cinema 4D. And here, so I'm using this shader. Let's put it on the bot. And I'm just going to use here, in Basic, I'm going to uncheck everything at first, use the luminance. And in the luminance channel, I'm going to use a funnel. So very simple. Where is it? Funnel. And you can see it creates this render. So let's take a look. This is the actual render. I'm going to go high up to the resolution. And here I can change my, my funnel the way I want. Create something like that. And you have already a nice effect. But see, it's very easy, very straightforward. And if I save now this, so you need to save it, it's going to sync automatically with After Effects. Then here we can see this is the OpenGL preview. So to have the real render, you need to switch from viewport draft to current. And now we have the real render. And I can just overlay that using, for example, the additive mode. So now we have that on top of our bot. So it doesn't look like much because I haven't taken care of that. But you can see it just works. And what's interesting then is I can shade this. So what I did, it just created a light, a spotlight. So it's going to appear here. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. And this is going to be the actual beam of light of the hologram. So let's lower it a bit. And I'm going to here just increase like that. Now, if I wanted to shade my character, I don't want to use luminance. Luminance is very nice, but it doesn't take into account any lighting. So I'm going to copy the shader, uncheck the luminance, and go to the color. And I'm going to paste the shader into the color. So now we have the effect of the lighting on our character, making an even cooler effect, I think. And if I save it, so you have to save it every time. If I go back there, it's live. So it's very easy to go back and forth as long as you don't forget to save. If you don't save, you won't see anything, and that can cause some error. So I have some interesting base here, and I have my light. So more on that later, because I'm going to get the light from Cinema 4D to create the actual beam of light with lux and so on. Now let's move on to the bot, the actual bot. So Mir does have option on the material here to create stuff. It also has option a repeater, which is quite interesting. If I put just 3 characters and translate them on Z, and you can even have an opacity like that. It's quite fun, and you can create rotation and so on. Some kind of mini monograph. Okay, but I won't be using that. You can also use the fractal. So I did some tests also here. You're just going to deform your mesh. It's very fast. That's the cool thing with that. And now we have a character running. Well, I won't be using that either. But here I'm going to use the material. And we have a smooth surface and then option to shade this. And what's really interesting here, option to use a texture. Okay. And so here you can try if you think like to have a golden character, chrome character, There is no bump map, there is no normal map, but still it's pretty cool. It's interesting, and you can change your reflection lighting and use other stuff. So I know already I'm going to use the dark industrial. I like this one because you can see it's well, it's interesting. There is I think ideas to, and then you have the reflection sharpness. If you decrease reflection sharpness, it's going to create a more metallic. So even though it's very simple, very crude, it's still pretty nice to have that with, again, almost instant feedback. And I repeat, this is a laptop. So on my computer at home, with the 3090, it's really, really fast. This is a good computer though, so. But it's not the 3090, yeah. So from there, what I did, I created, I didn't really use any shading from there. I created, used instead the texture rollout here. And that's very interesting because you can use UV and a texture to display instead. And here I just did the trick of create a very simple texture. So I made several attempts. So let's create first our texture. It will be a 10 by 24. I mean 1024 by 1024. Let's call it text bot. All right, and there I'm going to put electrify. Let's try that first. Electrify. Yeah, electrify. Electrify, if I'm not mistaken, is a plugin inspired by Daniel Hashimoto, Action Movie Dad, who created some stuff with fractal noise and so on, and they made it into a plugin. So it's very nice, and it works with anything. You just had to need to change the image control to fractal noise, and you have instant electrified noise. And then I'm going to change the blend mode to none. And now we have this very nice texture. And again, if you go to Universe dashboard, you have a lot of presets. So here it works with electrify. If I go there, then you have all different presets to use, and so on. I quite like the default one, so I'll be using it. And if I just use that as it is, if I go back now to the IBC, I'm going to load the text here as the reference file, and then into the mirror layer. It's good, into the mirror layer, I'm going to use here texture layer, and let's use our text bot. And we have now the texture on top of it, but I'm going to decrease the reflectivity to 0. And now we have this thing. And that's very interesting because it looks nice. The texture is animated and the character also. That works very well with landscape or stuff like that. And you can go back to the texture here and change the scale. Maybe have something, much lower like that. If you put a small scale like this, you can have some neat effect like this. So this is using the UV. But you can, of course, use the other projection. The front projection is going to work pretty well also. And then if I put that with my shading from Cineware, we're getting already somewhere. I mean, there's still work to do, obviously, but it's pretty interesting. And again, you can layer effects like that because it's very easy to duplicate your mirror bot and add other texture, other color, and so on. You can add effect, something that would be much more difficult in real 3D and slower. Here, it's really nice to be able to do it on the fly. So maybe I'm going to reduce the size of the texture. So actually I use a front projection. I don't even need the, yeah, let's go here. And also what I did, I killed the glow intensity and instead use optical glow on top of it. So it creates already a nicer effect, I think, on the character. So that's, we have already Cineware and Mir working together. Now let's add some particular, but before I think I'm going to import the light because we don't have the beam of light and we don't have the pedestal and time is running fast. So what I did about the pedestal, it's in another file. What I did, I just copied this file. Maybe I can show you very quickly. I copied that there. Oh, it's already there. Okay, so here I placed it, put my light, and actually my light, I can already change it also. Something like that. So it allows me to place and maybe to change the camera too. So let's do it. I'm going to do something like that. Yeah, because I love After Effects, but I really hate the navigation and the camera inside After Effects. So whenever I can do it in Semaphore, I'm going to do it. And the actual camera animation is done in Cineware too. So I've done that to place the volume, then I copy, paste it back in another file. Okay, so I can again layer my effect. And what's very interesting here, I just need to hide it, and Mir will just ignore it. So that's good feature they thought, just to ignore any hidden geometry. So here we have the actual pedestal in the C40 file, and I'm going to import it here. So let's import it. Let's call it Mir pedestal. Yeah. Well, lucky for me, I have the. Sorry about that. It's really the curse of the presentation. Because I did have a few crash, but not that early. I wasn't doing anything special, so bad luck. So I guess I'm going to. I won't restart everything, so maybe I'll. Oh yeah, there was an autosave. Yeah, this one should be all right. Right, when you first open the project with Mir, form, and so on, you have to be patient and not do anything because it's dangerous. Let's hope. So yeah, what I'm going to do after that is to create the beam of light. Yeah, well, I've been set back a bit. Let's see. Okay, we have that. Okay, that would be easy to go. So let's go to our Mir bot. I'm going to kill all the reflectivity, 0. Then load our texture. Let's go to front view, and that's it. Okay, that will be enough. I'm going to save the project, not in the autosave. And let's call it 9. Okay, so then I'm going to create the new Mir. Let's load it. And here in geometry, let's go to 3D model, and I already preloaded the over there. Let's go pedestal. Okay. So it needs to load. It's loading, so it's going to take some time because it's pretty big. And then I don't see it, but because same thing that before, you need to uncheck the normalizer, so it will be in the center of the scene, and here it is. And from there, I'm going to very quickly shade it, very quickly. So it takes into account the light in the scene. So if I create a new light, let's create a spotlight. I'm going to tint it blue, so I can see what's going on. And this will be a point light. You can see it's working. It's tinting everything. So I'm going to change, and if you put it to 0, 0, 0, it will be in the center of the scene. This is actually the normalize function, I think. So here's one light, and then I can use the screen space to put it somewhere here, and you can see it creates some shading. And I kind of just want to create some kind of rim light like this. Then I can create another light. I'm going to put it on the other side, and maybe more like that. I'm going to change the color to some kind of red. Okay, so it creates some interesting stuff, and you can see it shades also the character. So for that, I think I just kill the light on the character. If you just go to the if you increase the diffuse, decrease the ambient, you get some interesting effect on top of everything. And then I need to get my light from Cineware. This one, no, this one. And let's call it beam. If I save it, go to After Effects, and then let's go to our IBC bot start. I'm going to extract everything again. So I'm going to kill the camera because it's going to extract again the camera. So extract, and we have a beam of light in the center. And this beam of light is here. You can change it, decrease the intensity, whatever you want, and start to create something interesting. So very quickly to create the light now, let's use Lux. I'm going to change the color to black this time. And Lux is going to pick up all the light in the scene. So now I can see my beam of light from the hologram, and actually I can see also the other light, the point light from I have created earlier. And here I have control, so I can change the intensity of the spotlight, maybe increase it, maybe use something, another settings to increase the radius and so on. And I guess this one I'm going to make it a bit closer so we can see, you can see it creates some kind of glow. And I guess on the Lux here, if I increase the overall intensity, and of course you need to put it in front of mirror. So we have our light and the spotlight here. Start distant from this. And we're far from it. Like I said, I won't be able to do anything really, really interesting in just 10 minutes. But we're getting somewhere. You can see from there is a lot of work to do, but already it's interesting. So let's very quickly maybe create form. That's really cool also. So form is going to create a grid of particles, everlasting particles. And now form can use the same file as mirror. So let's create form. I'm going to add form. And then we're going here in the base form, box grid. Let's go to 3D model. And I'm going to choose the very same model as I should have saved it, yeah, as the IBC bot start. So let's do it. Yeah, it's working. Okay, so that's just saying that save project for Cineware option semaphore for best result. But anyway, it works, so we don't care. And then if I just put it in solo, so maybe let's, yeah, so the solo layer. Again, you need to go to 3D model settings, and every 3D Trapcode product have the same option, so it's easy to find its way. And here just uncheck normalize, and we have still our character, still sync. And you can use all the amazing feature of form. So here I'm going to reduce a lot the size of the particles. And I want them to, so it's from the model settings. Yeah, I don't want to have them from the edges. I want to use it from the faces or even the volume. So I need to decrease again the size. So maybe 0.1. And you see it start to get something interesting. The particle density to have more of them. If I put it in volume, it's very interesting too, because then we're going to disperse them. So here, for example, I can now use the size random, and it creates some kind of cloud of points. I can do also the same thing with the opacity. Maybe I need to increase a bit the size here, so maybe let's go back to 2. And it's still live. Okay. And if I use here the shading, let's turn on the shading. Now it takes into account the light from the scene. So if you put all of that together on top of our element in additive mode, again, I guess, we're getting somewhere. Then what's interesting with form is you can add all of these. So I could use layer maps, audio react to make it react with audio, but I wanted to keep it simple. So you have disperse and twist, and disperse is just going to disperse it like a cloud, like this. Or even better, use fractal field, which is going to move them, but with a 3D noise. So if I affect the displace, you can see it's going to deform the object. And if I do it on only the x-axis, it's going to create some kind of interference. And if I change now the scale of the noise, it's, yeah, this way. You can see it looks like some random noise from a TV show, but it's a 3D random noise. And what I did, I just create some very, very simple animation on here. So let's go, for example, here. I'm going to create a keyframe. Well, the first keyframe, yeah. Let's put a keyframe here. Let's go to 0. So 0 is normal. I'm going to save everything also. Then it goes to the interference, and it's animated with the noise and with the motion from the 3D clip. So then I can just go back here. Actually, I don't even need, yeah, let's do it. And if I want to loop it, I'm going to use an expression, so loop out, cycle, and now it's just looping, like there is some motion, then it goes back, then it goes again like that. And it creates the things. Yeah, I don't have time to make it look nicer, but yeah, you need to do some other stuff to it, and you layer the effect and so on. I just want to finish with one very interesting thing to keep everything interesting. The motion of the camera is always interesting. It's going to add motion to it. Like I said, I just hate cameras in After Effects. It's pure hell. It's even worse because I'm using Cineware, so actually it's better to do it in Cinema 4D and use the amazing feature of all the camera here. So let's create, I'm going to go out of the camera, and my animation was something like this. So I'm going to create a new camera. So when you create a camera, it's going to remember where you were. So that's my first camera. My second camera, which will be the main camera, is this one, camera 2. And then let's get out that camera. And then I went this way. And this will be the third camera. And now you just need to take, you're going to create an animation from this to this to this. Okay, and you just need to take the camera in the order. Then you're going here and you use the camera morph. And this new camera is going to morph from one position to the other. Okay, so yeah, it didn't pick up the right order. So let's change it. It's 1, 2, 3. And still didn't pick up. I need to refresh it, I guess. Enable. Make it again. Yeah, that's a bug that sometimes happens. Let's go maybe to simple morph, multi-morph. Yeah, now it works. You can see we have the animation. I'm going to stop it here, and then we're going back. So if I just put some keyframe now, so here it will be on frame 0. Let's go to 15 frame, and there will be 50%, which is our camera in mid position. We're going then to make it stationary for some time, and then we're going to dolly out using 100% again, and that creates our animation. So of course you could do that with just keyframes, but what's really nice with that is if you want to change your starting point, you just switch from one camera to the other and well, change them. It's going to update. And what's even cooler, because now we have this part which is stationary. I would like to have the camera wobble a bit, like you are standing with a Steadicam or something like that. So you can add on top of that our motion camera. So motion camera is going to build upon the morph camera, and on the option of the morph camera, you have very nice animation, like here motion. I'm going to put it to Steadicam, and it's going to create some kind of wobbly motion in the center, but very natural. If I put back this, there will be more obvious. See? Very natural. To do that in After Effects, it just, you have to use wiggle, and even though it's not really nice. So maybe I'm going to, so it's very easy to alter the animation like that. and maybe make it last a bit longer. Ah. And at finished with that, we just have to know that, well, let's do it very quickly. If you just extract this camera, it won't work because this is an expression. You have to bake it. So I'm going to put the motion camera here again, and I'm going to do the same thing as I did yesterday. Function, bake object. Here, this is the position only, and rotation, perfect. Remove tag, create, I don't need to create a copy. And now my camera, I can just kill that. It's all baked into keyframes. And this now, if I go back to Shimmer 4D, let's not forget to uncheck this. Let's go back to Shimmer 4D, After Effects. And then here on the IBC bot, I can extract everything again. And we have our motion camera with all the keyframes synced with everything and so on. And I made a mess with something somewhere. Anyway, yeah, the end result is this, much nicer. Then you can add a lot of other effects and so on. I think I should have 2 hours to do everything at least. But yeah, so that's it.